Welcome to the Play Myself show. I'm Miles. I have Sarah and Craig here, and we're going to talk about some interesting things and hopefully get into some satire. Sarah has nothing to say from our first take, so Craig, just go ahead. Craig.
Oh, yeah, where was I? From Thompson, Connecticut.
Okay.
Visiting New York for the third time.
In your life.
In my life.
And?
Oh, I don't have much else more. It was a fun ride up.
Oh, and you guys didn't stop at Treehouse. Right, cool.
No, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
We didn't leave till like 6?
I know.
And I've actually never been to Treehouse.
I've heard the story before, guys.
Wait, Craig told you how I almost ran out of gas and didn't have any cash for the toll?
Well, Sarah, that sounds like a you problem.
It was an us problem at the time.
Yeah, that sucks. When it comes to like life's passion, what do you think you're passionate about now versus when you were a child? Teens,
early teens?
Yeah, I'm really good at math. I might work at a bank. I'm really good with people. I might be a firefighter. When you first thought and knew you wanted to be something?
I don't know if I ever really... When I was a kid, I never really thought about what I wanted to be. I've always just kind of lived in the moment. I never really thought about the future. All I've ever wanted to do is just make people laugh. I was always like that kid in school who got in trouble for cracking jokes.
To be a comedian.
To be honest with you, that would be the greatest thing in the world. And the only reason I can't is because I can't speak in front of people. Like, if I was on stage, I would absolutely just shit my pants. Like, I couldn't do it. There's no way I could possibly do it. But I could write it so somebody else could do it, but I couldn't do it.
The fear of public speaking is the most feared fear out of all fears.
It's the biggest fear
in the world, right?
Yeah.
I've learned by putting myself in that arena, it's conquered. You can do it. And it's so funny because, like, one of my goals is to get guys like you, even guys like me, out there.
Like a physical club, like a bar club.
Brick and mortar,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I want a coffee shop during the day.
Yeah.
Bookstore.
Yeah.
And like at night, it's like a speakeasy and a stand-up comedy club. How do I do that? And then I just reverse engineer my life from there. When you say fear of public speaking, it's like, all right, you're gonna wind up getting over that. You just better hope it's not when you're 60, but you're gonna have to do it.
There are some good comics who started late in life.
Yeah, I bet they wish they would have started
earlier.
earlier.
Well, yeah. If you're afraid to do something, and then once you finally do it years later, you're like, why didn't I do this from the start?
Right.
And that's probably how I would be. But the first step of getting up on a stage and cracking jokes and possibly absolutely bombing, which is definitely going to happen because
happens to the best of them.
Literally everybody. That first, you'd have to overcome the bomb to be able to move on. Then you're like, all right, so now I figured it out. Like, you're gonna suck on certain nights, and then other nights you're gonna be awesome.
No, I get it. The way I look at comedians, those are my favorite podcasters.
Yeah.
Comedians are the people that got me here. I see like a certain hurt, it takes a certain endurance level. You ever listen to like Theo Vaughn?
Yeah.
And he's just like talking about crazy shit. It just makes fucking sense to me.
Yeah.
Like shit that he's saying. I never think of it that way. The moment we've all been waiting for. Sarah, what about you?
I think you've noticed from the last time we filmed together, I'm a big observer. There's a couple points I want to make. The first is I think I've accomplished what I wanted to be. The first time I can remember wanting to accomplish something, it was essentially just being a powerful, successful woman.
Well, Sarah, hold on. I'll stop you right there. You told me you wanted to be a creative director.
All right, well, why don't you pump your brakes and let me get through it? Sit down, take a seat, have your beverage, and let me tell my story.
All right.
The first time I can recall wanting to be something was just a successful woman. The women I looked up to were very successful. At a young age, I definitely aspired to be a successful woman. Business was the way I was going to get that. I think I've accomplished that goal at a pretty young age. I don't own my own business, but I'm up there in the company that I work for. The creative directive thing, I remember watching a show called Melrose Place, the original, with Heather Locklear, and she was a huge ad executive for airline companies. And that was someone I looked up to because she was just such a boss-ass bitch. She did all the ad copy and creative for airline companies. Once I went to college, I realized that airline company in their advertisement was the largest you could spend outside of the Super Bowl. And don't really need to do much to advertise an airline.
So wait, are you saying advertise on an airline? In the plane they have you're saying an actual airline
like
advertising for themselves.
You drive by a billboard and you see...
Like Delta putting up a billboard is more expensive than other?
The only thing that's more expensive than that is the Super Bowl ad.
You know what you have to do. Like, so you have to buy sneakers. Like, you have to wear sneakers. If everyone's gonna own a pair of sneakers, how do you get the most people to buy yours? Everyone has to travel, which most people have to do,
right.
and they can make up their prices. Why not? The most advertised place is buses. Everyone sees a bus.
Yeah.
I get it. Sarah, onward.
You asked both of us the question, and I think a background says a lot. We grew up in New York, and Craig's from a small town. People in small towns, there definitely are the outliers. No one in your circle is like, let's do something else. Let's do something big. Told, go to school, graduate, get a job. Once you get a job that you're successful in, stick with it as long as you possibly can. Right? Am I right?
No, you're definitely right.
Whereas
in my situation, right? Because I did grow up in a small town. The only thing you knew is what's around you. And there's not much around you. There's other families, and this guy might be a contractor. This guy might be a businessman. You don't think outside the box a lot when you grow up without other people doing it.
It makes 100% sense because you found a job that you were successful at. You've been there for years.
I have to challenge that.
Challenge it.
With the internet, you're allowed to be a dreamer. Before I started reading, I never knew why people thought the way they did. Started reading like all these crazy authors who just like were able to write. Stephen King to Ayn Rand. The shit that they were just writing. I started to get into like biographies. One of my favorite presidents in LBJ. Yeah, this motherfucker came from some shit in fucking Texas. They didn't even have fucking roads. And then he was just like, I could just fucking pass the most shit. My name would always be known.
So you're talking about someone who's historic, and we're talking about people in our age demographic.
I think it just takes time to think about what you want. If you ask yourself, if anyone asks themselves, what did I ever tell myself in my life that I wanted that I wasn't able to achieve? The answer is nothing. Everything you ever wanted to do in life that you fucking was like, yo, alright, I'm about to start doing this shit today. You always do it. It's like almost like a you thing or like a you problem. And I find that in myself a lot.
Correct. However, so I did mention earlier that they're definitely outliers. This gentleman that you're referring to,
The president of the United States.
Okay, sure thing.
Yeah.
He is an outlier because there are people who have, and most of these outliers do make history. Let's also think about the other side of the coin. You are a compilation of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Of course.
So if you hang out with 5 people who have no motivation, no aspiration, no
drive.
This guy, maybe this president,
Lyndon B. Johnson,
so-called president.
maybe he did have one person in that circle of 5 that was like, you can do more. You know, it's funny because I work in restaurants. I spend a lot of time in restaurants, and I hang out with a lot of young girls. And even in this age of the internet, these girls feel like they can do nothing more but serve. And I say to them all the time, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
But why do you think they think that, though?
Because they don't look like the girl with the tiny
media.
So they think that most people who are successful in their age demographic are on social media because that's all they follow, that's all they know.
Right.
So they don't realize that there's someone out there who's also 24 who owns her own multi-million-dollar business and didn't have to do it by posting sexy pictures on Instagram.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing too. You guys ever watched Black Mirror?
Oh yeah.
It's an episode. Every single thing you do, somebody's giving you stars. Or giving you
they rate you. Yeah, literally every confrontation you have with a person, it could literally just be like walking down the street and you drop something and the person picks it up for you. You have to give them 5 stars. Everything that you have in life is based on your rating.
Yeah, and what Craig is saying is real. This is a microcosm of that. Right?
Super real.
This is what that becomes. They already started this in China. It comes to the point where you can't board a plane unless you have a
she
form.
couldn't get on a plane,
That's what people are weirded about today, myself included. It takes me 3 minutes to post a picture. Answering, I'm gonna have to do, like, I'm talking to people, like, re-liking they shit. I'm like, yo, what the fuck else could I be doing? The people that do it every day, how do you do this shit? I went to Kentucky for a buddy's bachelor party. My buddy Ryan, why you putting your shit on Instagram like that? And I was like, yo, just do that shit for me, bro. He knew how to do everything that was gonna get people to fucking draw.
So was his job in social media? What?
No, but he just knows how to attract people because his shit is media. It could have been like a one-on-one class for him. Damn, damn, bro, like, this shit's nuts.
There's been times I wanted to post something because I think it's funny, but it's like 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like, people are going to be sleeping, no one's going to see it. It's not prime time hour, so I'll wait until either in the morning or like a 3, 4 o'clock when
Yeah,
people
but like, what are
asleep.
you monetizing to fucking do
Absolutely
that
nothing.
shit?
But it's the same thing. But it's the same thing that everybody does, though. Everything you do, your self-worth is based on what other
Oh, we
people.
have this argument frequently.
Yeah, but we feeding
yeah.
into the shit then.
Oh, absolutely.
I
We're all
don't think
feeding
I
into
believe.
it.
I honestly don't believe I feed into the shit at all
It could be subconscious, though.
because
You don't post a lot of.
I feel like
photos and
I
stuff.
feel like I stopped posting entirely because, like, to your point, Miles, it's like, all right, now I have to figure out the right time to post,
Yeah.
the hashtags. Like, I really don't give a
But
shit.
what's the whole purpose of posting? It's so other people can see it.
It's an archive. Like,
You-
10 years
you
from
wouldn't-
now, I want to show my kids, like, look how fucking hot
But-
mommy
but
was.
check
But,
But, yeah,
you
but-
could put that on a computer. You could put it in the cloud.
Yeah,
to
but it's
put it on
funner on the
social
internet.
media.
It's
The whole
there
purpose
forever.
of social media is for other people to see
So-
what you're doing, what you're thinking, what you look like, what you're up to. It's all about what other people
So
think.
check this out. And the same thing I said about podcasts. Why podcasts if your shit can't be right? You said it's archiving. When does life start to happen if you're always working?
You want to know what the difference between podcasting and Instagram is? Instagram is this beautiful highlight reel. Everyone looks hot and sexy, and that's why everyone's pressured to look so great and yada, yada, yada. There's so much pressure in the posting. The thing about podcasts is people have found a way to monetize being real. You just come on, you start talking. Just like you're saying, in China, someone who may not relate to you in person has found comfort in your voice, found someone else who thinks the way they do. You can relate to someone in a podcast without ever seeing what they look like. You don't know if they're ugly, they're beautiful, if they're black, they're white, they're purple, they're pink. You
Think
have
also like that,
monetized being a human being and relating to someone. This is a very lonely world. Think
Nah,
about
you're
how
right.
lonely people are right
Nah,
now.
you're 100% right. Sarah, you don't know who Theo Vaughn is, right?
The funny thing is, I don't know who half these fucking people are
Alright,
that
so-
you mentioned.
so,
People
like-
in history, people who are current, people who are relevant. I don't know, and I don't really give a shit.
He's a comedian from New Orleans. He just has like a way about him. It's almost like we all speak English, but we speak different languages.
You love
Because
language.
this motherfucker speaks a different language. But I understand everything he's saying. To what you said, I feel like when you turn 25, that's when like optimism ceases to some of us. I remember talking to my wife about like, she's like, oh, I knew I had to take all my chances by this age. There's something in knowing and taking a leap of faith. Really face your passion. What the fuck do I want to do? Why did I put all this other shit in front of it? And what am I going to do tomorrow? And I feel like that's just the fucking last answer. But the world's so easy now, like we all know how to make $1 million. If you really wanted to, right? It's not about the $1 million. It's about like your legacy, like what the fuck you want to live for. I fucking sold shit on eBay because I fucking listened to Gary Vee and made $17,000 in 7 months. If I fucking really wanted to 10x that shit, quit my job and did that shit because it was fun and I
Yeah.
was doing it.
Yeah.
But it was like, yeah, I don't fucking want to be fucking going to fucking Marshalls every fucking day and fucking buying shit. Honestly, if I would have been like, yo, I'm quitting my job, I would fucking just drove to every Marshalls. I could have just been fucking doing that shit and I would have paid the same mortgage. That's what it was. And why the fuck am I doing this? Like, why the fuck did I build this room? And that's the shit right there that gets me every day.
So you don't have an answer to it?
Well, I do. It's face your passion.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's face your passion. So, like, whatever you want, like, fear is like a scent to me. You smell it and you just fucking keep going towards it and you fucking just keep going towards it and you just climb it and you just eat it. The obstacle is the way.
First layer,
Base layer.
base layer.
Base layer.
We talk about surroundings. There's influence, and even if you're 25 or 35, there's influence. Whether that influence is positive or negative, you are still a compilation of the people you spend time with. So if you're like, hey, I'm going to go thrifting and flipping, and your friends are like, hey, let's actually go here and do this, and you're like, haven't seen Bob Smith in a while, definitely going to go do that and have a good time because, you know, you do only live once. So I can go to the thrift store tomorrow. There's that layer. There's a second layer that people very rarely talk about, it's very taboo, is your mental health. And we're not saying this is a decoration. There's definitely been times I'm like, I should definitely do XYZ, and instead I'm going to lay in my bed or go cry in the shower, right?
Wrong. Not wrong for me.
Wrong for you. Yeah. Well, other people have.
Boys don't do that.
Okay.
Bury
Boys
it
do
down
that.
until
Sorry,
it eventually
sorry.
explodes.
Yeah, and that's why boys have so much back because that's where they hold all their emotion. So there's that layer of thing. At the end of the day, life does come at you fast.
The cliche people use
No,
when they're not doing what they want. They say,
Wait.
Think about this.
life
But
came
what if
at
you
me
been COVID?
fast.
I don't know if this is to your point or against your point. During COVID, I built this studio. I didn't have 5 people around me. I couldn't get 2 people to come to this motherfucker.
Correct.
To include my wife. Yeah, because it was like, Noelle came down to like make sure I was okay.
Make sure you're living.
Yeah, but like that was it.
Correct. Okay, so that's gonna go towards my mental health layer because
Felt crazy.
I struggle with seasonal depression. So it usually spikes right after Thanksgiving, and then I'm usually thriving by April. I was dealing with a crazy ass bug infestation in my new home. I was uncomfortable sleeping in this place. I was paying. My first home was supposed to be a special experience to me. Everywhere was posted, stay home.
Yeah.
Like everywhere I went, stay home because
Right.
we were in the
trapped
middle
in
of COVID.
You were
Yeah.
trapped in the place that was giving you the most anxiety.
Trapped in my home.
Yeah.
Constant reminders. The only time I went out of the house to the grocery store, it was like, stay home, keep everyone safe. I felt uncomfortable. I felt unsafe. I felt anxious. It wasn't a great experience. So, to your point, the only person who is stopping you is you, but there are so many different layers to that.
Yeah.
You have the outside of yourself, you have the inside of yourself, and then you also have like your passion. What if you don't know your passion? Talk to a friend and they've seen me talking about something vigorously and with such passion. They said, "What is that like?" And I asked them, I said, "What do you mean? What's what like?" To be passionate about something. Because some people really don't have that in them.
No, I think I think there's a lot of people who are passionate about things. They just don't know that they're passionate about.
Yeah,
it.
hit the
Like
nail on the head.
I'm passionate about a lot of stuff. If you ask me what I'm passionate about, I'm like, I don't fucking. There's a lot of shit that I'm really into that I never really think about. Oh, I'm really into this. I'm passionate. Like that word passion is so over.
Oh, why don't you think about these things though?
Because I don't know. Because I just don't.
This is not, and it's scary
'Cause I'm
sometimes. So
a
it's like
simple-minded person. and I
So
don't
I'll
think-
peel back the onion on this, right? You got the word passion, then you got the word joy, right? So what brings you joy?
So the way that he's talking about passion, I couldn't even tell you what the fuck sparks joy in me.
If you don't see what sparks joy in you, I get you. Trust me. I'm good at this. What's the last thing that you were doing where you forgot to eat? I'll edit this silence in post.
No,
when
keep
you
the
forgot
silence in.
to eat.
When you
is
Yeah,
forgot
you
that
forgot to eat. It's like, oh shit, I didn't even eat today. Oh shit, I was fucking.
I was drinking, bro.
Yeah.
Drowning in a bottle of fucking Dubra.
yeah,
Yeah.
Dubra, come on.
I definitely forgot to eat today, but I was just so overcome with anxiety and rush about
Yeah, that's not joy.
Yeah, that's not joy though.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I was gonna come here, I need to pick Craig up.
Right,
I
so
needed
family. So togetherness.
I did also plant some plants.
Right. No, but all of that has to do with that, right? You value. So you
Ooh.
value togetherness. You value being on
I'm
time.
gonna challenge.
No, you can. Those are the things you value. When it's time to put that together, you say, I value family, I value togetherness, but then you're in this hospitality business, so you value happiness. So you value other people's happiness, probably more than your own, but that brings you that.
Fuck, the tea has been
Yeah,
spilt.
that was good.
Fucking Wendy Williams,
That
where
was
are
really
you?
good.
The tea is exceptional today.
That was so
Who
spot
made this
on.
tea?
It was
Who
definitely
made the
spot
tea?
on. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what it is, though. You can put it together like that, but then you say to yourself, that's where my niche is. Like, that's what the fuck I gotta do. And then you do it.
That's the tea. When you were speaking, the first thing that came to my mind, I was like, what sparks joy? For me, it's not feeling guilty. So a lot of times I just do things just to reverse engineer feeling guilty. Do I want to fucking drive 3 hours to come and see you guys? Not really.
Not really, yeah.
But is someone going to make me feel guilty without even trying? Probably.
I'm telling you, like the biggest fear I had in podcasting and in life is like that imposter syndrome. I never felt like I was supposed to be somewhere. It was so crazy to me because like I always feel like I should be somewhere. It was like some invisible person like telling me like, yo, you don't belong there, you don't do this shit, right? And it was like Mike Tyson that kind of like got me out of that shit. Him and David Goggins, he was just like, you stupid motherfucker. Like how he used to talk to himself because the model used to hypnotize him. I was like, yo, like why the fuck do I think like that? It's almost like I come in the room and everybody's like, yo, he's 5 minutes late. And then I started just challenging the world. But like, why do I still not feel good enough? What I concluded with was, I'm not good enough for me. Nobody else even gives a fuck about what the fuck I'm doing. They only care because I tell them.
That's the key, is knowing that no matter what you do, for the most part, no one really gives a fuck.
At all.
And then if you really figure that out, what you're freaking out about, that literally no one gives a shit, then you won't give a shit. And then suddenly, like, all the weight comes off your shoulder and you're like, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to do this and I don't really give a shit.
I'm disagreeing.
Like, nobody
Why
cares.
do you disagree?
People do give a fuck. And that's the thing.
I always,
you know what? Gary Vee says that a lot. He talks about how, like, no one gives a shit.
They don't.
They definitely don't.
People give a shit.
Why do people give a shit and you think that they give a shit and you care that they give a shit? Because they don't talk to you about it. Whenever somebody tells me that somebody's talking shit about me, my thought is not like, good looking for telling me. Why do you feel comfortable telling you about me? That means that you fucking been a snake.
I think the thing about me, I just see things very differently. I can see left, I can see right, and then there's like gray line that's perfectly in the middle. I can see too.
It's those two circles that come together.
Yes.
There's the middle. There's a name for it.
So I'm going to tell you guys, yes, no one gives a shit about what you're doing. Absolutely. But if you are that person, because think about it, you teach people how to treat you.
Yep.
If you have consistently been that person for someone else, and you think to yourself, you have this mindset that like, oh, you know, I heard on a podcast that no one really gives a shit. There could be one day that you're not there for someone, or you've been consistently doing things for other people. So they've already learned you are going to be there. And they really fucking need you to be there that one day. And that's the day you're like, hey, you know what? No one really gives a shit what I do or what I say, or if I respond to their text, or if I show up to their fucking house, or if I listen to their story about themselves. Someone gives a fuck.
I told my therapist last week, I have no expectations for no one. Me having no expectations for no one, other people don't see it like that. Just like you said, I'm coming over. Do I want you to come over? 100%. Would I love it that you're here? 100%. But if you don't come over, I'm like, fuck, she ain't come over. I might send a text like, oh, nice to see you. And that shit is the shit that might fuck with you.
Fuck with me hard.
Now that I know it, if fuck with you, I won't do it. It doesn't shift my day. Yeah, I'm just like, all right, same shit's going on. One less ticket. It doesn't really fuck with me, but I get what you're saying though, because like I'll text somebody and I'm like, yo, I know this motherfucker read that shit. When you lower your expectations, because you have to humanize people. I think like the biggest thing I got through in my entire life is when I humanized my parents. When I look at my dad, like, yo, my dad used to beat the shit out of me for like not being able to read like the New York Times at like 8, because they said like I had a fucking disability. Now the thing, I'm like, yo, dude, you can't read that shit. You know what I mean? But it's like, he did what he thought was fucking good. Like, yo, like they said, yo, have him read more. Yeah. But he wasn't fucking like, oh, let me buy a children's book. He's like, yo, the paper's 50 cents. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Here's the Great Gatsby.
Right.
Start reading.
So when he's doing that shit, I'm like, yo, bro. But then I'm like, yo, this motherfucker's 33 at the time. When I was 33, I don't even know what the fuck I was. When you look at this shit and I look at my mom, she had me when she was 20. When I was 20, I wasn't even waking up on time. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, when I humanized my parents, I was like, man, they did a good job. And yeah, they fucked up a lot. Because one thing, like, you meet my mom tomorrow, my mom is very non-traditional.
So non-traditional.
And that,
in the
she had you young. I feel like she must have had you younger than that.
In the sense of, we never like really like value holidays. I don't buy nobody shit for their birthday.
We don't give a shit about that shit.
I wish that was my family.
She's fine with that, and like you'd be lucky if she called you on your shit. When I married my wife, whose birthday's on Christmas, and my son's birthday
day after Christmas, yeah.
And I'm like, alright, it's a day. Like, yo,
Yeah.
why would you want today? Like, why the fuck you? Oh, so it's Christmas, so that we all gotta sit under the tree with pajamas on, right? And
Singing
then like
carols.
my grandma used to always make us wait till dinner, and my mom was never on that shit. So like, and that's how I was raised. My wife still doesn't understand it. She still doesn't get it. She takes it like she took that from you. I'm like, I really am glad that that shit was like that.
Yeah.
Go ahead and max out a credit card and fucking like just buy everybody 100 gifts. It don't make no sense to me. And that's how like I developed my way of thinking. I'm objective in my thinking. Again, my mom was 20 when she had me. Crazy.
I think you have to go even further back. When Mommy came to America,
How old
was
was
she?
she?
Like 13, 14?
Maybe. I don't even know.
She was probably thirsty as hell to just be outside of this family realm that she lived in. She had so many siblings that she was the oldest of. She was taken care of. She came from a third world country. She was like, let's get married real quick so we can get the fuck up out of this bitch.
Yeah, I don't think it was like that.
It was 100% like that.
Nah,
Who gets
hell no.
married at 18, honestly?
Nah, I'll tell you
Back in
like
the day,
this.
a lot of people got married.
Sarah, a lot of people. And not
Yeah.
for nothing.
People get married way
When mommy
later in
got
life
married to my dad, our whole family moved into that apartment. So like, you know, like that shit wasn't like you saying.
Yeah, but
like,
I don't think it's. Maybe
Yeah.
she's told me this story differently, but she
Yeah.
definitely made it seem like she was happy to get married at so young.
No, of course, because
she had her independence. She could step outside
Yeah.
of this large family circle where she held a lot of the responsibility.
All right, so I want to ask you guys a question in closing. With the current climate in the world today, what do you think changes the world for the better?
Okay, well, that's a loaded question. That's like a
Yeah.
second segment.
I can
question.
answer it with one answer.
Please tell me.
Yes, for the internet. Stop
I
it.
don't think that's gonna
Stop
happen.
it.
It's definitely not going to
It's
happen.
not gonna happen.
But you're right. It is the most
that my
evil.
question?
It's
Was-
the most evil thing in,
Yeah.
I
in
don't
the
think
world.
so. I disagree.
It's
Again.
great for things when it comes to a digital
Yeah.
network that can get everything running together. It's really not even the internet. It's social media. Is what it
It's
really comes
not
down
any
to.
of that stuff. It's
Yeah,
at
it
the
is.
end of the day, let's pull it all the way back to where you guys were saying like, okay, it doesn't matter what anyone else does. Like, I don't give a fuck. Blah blah blah. And
don't
I
give
was
a
saying that I
fuck.
do care. Like people do care about what you say or what you do, or if you show up or don't show up.
Yeah, but now it's on a greater
No,
scale.
no. Here's the thing. That mentality is learned. You learn to realize that, like, you should humanize your parents. You learn that, like, what other people do has nothing to do with you.
Right.
Right?
Right.
People haven't been taught that social media and the things that they're seeing has nothing to do with them. Well, think of our nephews. Did they both not come in here with a electronic device and we're sitting on that the whole time? The fact of the matter is, if no one is teaching you these things and you are not old enough to learn them on your own, you are none the wiser.
Well, that's not true though.
That is
'Cause
true.
The last time I went to Treehouse, Miles and Javion, they were with me,
Mm-hmm.
and my other nephew Zane, they were on like this.
Twitch.
No, Twitch, but it's like a game.
I don't know the
Fortnite?
games actually.
Fortnite. They
Oh,
were on
Fortnite's
a-
that big
Fortnite.
game,
They
yeah.
were on like live chat, right? And there was a fucking dude in that shit asking them like how old they were, like where they lived and all
Oh
that
yeah,
shit.
the predators all over.
And like they were
Chris
just
Hansen
like, yo,
came
I know
in.
what to do with this shit. And I was like, just air hustling 7-year-old all the way to 13. 1.4 million people in that chat. Have you ever read Ready Player One?
No. Go on with that last story.
And Ready Player One,
Here.
and this is to that last story. It gets enhanced so much. You said like, oh, look how young they are, whatever. It gets enhanced so much to where the next level of it is that some like the way like we look at sex, they might look at something else. Like something else might entice you to do something or to be in a place that is more invigorating than whatever the fuck we look at.
Correct, but no one is explaining to them like so. Like even if they
Life gets explained.
So the other day we were watching a commercial about like the Boy Scouts and how there was all this like
Yeah, I throw my boyfriend.
okay, how wild is that?
I can't believe you didn't know that was a
Okay,
thing.
but like still it's wild. So these kids are watching Fortnite. Oh, there was all sorts of crazy shit going on with YouTube. YouTube
Right.
got in trouble for a bunch of stuff about like Peppa the Pig and like Elsa. Think about all the stuff that you're not constantly monitoring. So that is one experience that you had with the boys. Imagine the experiences that are being bypassed their parents. Or on the flip side, things that they are bypassing because they're not interested in that particular predator, but they are moving on to something else that could be predatory toward their mental status or towards their physical status. It's like you don't really know. So everything that you learn, someone has to teach you. Whether it's the internet, the only reason you guys were saying that the internet's the problem, the internet is not the problem. It's people who are just allowing the internet to be their child's teacher.
Goodbye.